And as Jason said, we do have the retrievable ballots. Fraud's always an issue. Even though we're not on the neighboring borderline with another state, we're a resort area. People own a home in Raleigh, which is the capital, and some of the other larger cities, Charlotte, and they have their summer home on the coast. Well, they're registered to vote in their home county, but when an issue comes up for beach erosion, beach renourishment, local taxes in the county, they want to vote in our county that time. So we do have an issue with people wanting to vote. They'll want to cancel the registration in their home precinct and register with us. So we have a real issue watching with that. We've only had one or two people over the time that really actually registered in our county, voted, and then went back and re-registered in their home county. Most of the time, they make their choice, which is more important to them, their home or their summer home. But North Carolina has a statewide voter registration database. If they come from Raleigh to our county, do the in-person registration and voting, we put them in the system. The next day, that voter is automatically canceled in the other county. So there's not much of a chance that they're going to be able to go from our county to vote and turn around and go back up there and vote again. We also, if they're registered in another state, we will fax or email a copy of that registration to the other state. We do everything we possibly can to make sure that wherever they're coming from, that those records are taken care of, so that there's no opportunity really for them to register and vote at another place. We do have the 48-hour turnaround, which really has never created a problem for us. Yes, it's a lot of work, but we're there anyway, because if 300 people vote in a day, we're still going to look at those records when that voting day ends at 5 o'clock. So we didn't spend any more time at the office with in-person registrations than we did the normal one-stop voting process. And it's not only new people that have moved to the county, and I try to remember when I turned 18 and I was going to register to vote. It's on Virginia Street. It was a one-story white cinder block building. All I knew was, that was my duty. I was supposed to go register and vote. I'd registered, always voted. When I moved to Wood County, I went to the clerk's office and I re-registered in Wood County. I never knew there was a deadline before the election that you had to register in order to vote. I never really realized that you had to change your address. In North Carolina, we have a list maintenance system that if you don't vote in a certain number of years, you're made inactive and eventually you're removed from the records. I had no knowledge of any of that until I actually started working in the elections office. And I don't think I was ignorant. I just assumed too much, never thought to check, and I think there's still a lot of people like that. They've never moved from our county, but because they're elderly and maybe they just didn't get to vote for a couple of years, they were sick, they've been removed. Well, their only opportunity to really vote is the in-person registration on election day. And we make mistakes. We'll have someone from the one-stop site call us and say, Sharon, John Smith is in here, but the computer says he died 2 years ago. But he's standing right here. What do I do? Just keep your mouth shut and tell him there's an error, and please do the in-person registration. All it takes is a click, and that's human nature to make mistakes. And why have someone so upset that they have come to vote and to find out that they're not registered, whether it's a clerical error, whether it's a mistake on their part? That's not what it's all about. It's about the voter. And that's where we can really be a big help and a big assistance. We can do voter information, voter education. But bottom line is, people do not pay any attention to anything until right before the election, and then all of a sudden everybody's worked up. Oh my goodness, I'm going to go vote. And I hate to admit it, but in 2008, we were swamped. I worked and I worked and I worked. I worked over. I came in early. I didn't take my lunch hour. Well, early voting stopped at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. I'd always voted early because we can't leave the office on election day. Well, guess what? 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon, I'm thinking, oh no. I forgot. Here I was doing all this voter registration work, all this data entry, and it just slipped my mind completely. So election day, I had to leave the office. Got to the polling site, there was no one in there. There were the poll workers, I think 2 voters, and that was it. We had, I think, almost a 70% turnout on early voting. I mean, it just overwhelmed us. We weren't prepared for it. We were putting up extra computers, running back and forth, but it all worked out, and to be honest, I would have thought it would have never worked. There was no way it was going to create problems. People were going to go this place and vote and that place and vote, and we'd never catch it, but it just didn't happen. It was so nice to see people, instead of yelling at us that why am I not registered to vote? I registered. We had one that registered at a restaurant. Yeah, sure they did. You know, nobody registers at a restaurant. But what do you can't stand there and say, you know, look, that's just not possible. Our DMV system is great now. We very rarely have issues, but 6, 7 years ago, we averaged, I bet, 20 people a month, at least, that went to the DMV and registered, and we never got their paperwork. But if we went back to the DMV and got their records for that time period, those people were on there. They really did register at the DMV. And yes, people do register at Walmart all the time, because that's a great place for a voter registration drive. But, you know, most of the people that do voter registration drives are very conscientious, and they get that information back to us. But who's to say, you know, that they get busy and put it in the trunk of their car and maybe we never get it. There's all kinds of reasons that people honestly thought they were registered to vote and just weren't. So I think it's just, I've really changed my mind, which is a lot for me, because I'm at that age where I'm very stubborn, and you have to prove to me that what you say is right. But it has been a really great thing for us, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, it's just been a real benefit to us, and I think to the voters in the state. So, thank you very much.